Oh hey, how you going? Don't mind me. I'm just reading some rules up on a new game that I've got. But, not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about my dice towers here. I'm going to show you how I make my dice towers. And that way you might be able to make one too. I'll see you in a little bit. So I went out and got myself a laser cutter. The first thing I forgot about it is you got to learn how to use the software. So this one here is a free one that I download. It's called Inkscape. You can purchase a premium of it, but you can still, for your basics, you can still really work on the free one. So what I've got here is my design shape for the dice tower, and what I'm pointing at here is I actually had to add an extra 0.4 mil to my finger joints there so that I can get a nice firm fit on it. This is for 6 mil cut. So I do recommend, if you do go through and get yourself a laser cutter, is to go test everything out, because you do have what's called a kerf, so which is what the laser cuts out. And if you don't test it out and find out how thick the cut is on it, you'll find it's your works will either be too loose. So get out there, test it out, and that way you make sure that you're going to get a nice firm sort of I guess bondage there when you join it all together. So, and I'm pointing out here is that this letting you know that it was 0.7 for my radius for the laser. I have got this going in quick because I did have a voice over on it originally, but it went all funny. So I'm doing another voiceover and I've just got it sped up. It did drag out a bit too long. So I'm about to go over to my cut file. I have two files. I have this one here where I can adjust, and then I'll go over to my cut file where I've joined the finger joins on and cut out all the holes there. So when the laser cuts it out, it cuts it out properly. And this is it. This is my cut file where, as you can see, it's just a red line. So that'll help with the laser to cut everything out. I made these lines 0.7, which is the radius of the laser. So it adds 0.7 onto it. So when it cuts, my dice tower should be the size that I want it to be. You can see I've duplicated. So on my other file before, I didn't need to do a lot, because I can just duplicate the sides and put them in. So once you've got this file here, then you save it. Then you just got to send it over to the laser cutter. But this one here, this is where I practiced, and I do encourage you to practice. So I made up the cubes. So these are 50 mil by 50 mil cube, and that way I can practice on how tight the finger joints get. And these worked. They worked well. It helped. And even if they were loose, I was able to turn them into a little cube where I added some numbers on here and turned them into a D6 dice. My kids love it. They come up really good. I'll have a photo of a picture of them later on down the track to show you what they look like afterwards. But once that's all done and you've tested it out, now you're ready to go up and cut it. And it comes with a software to help you cut it, obviously. This one's the Laser GBRL, I think it is, or something around that. And then you just load the file into it, once I can find it. And once it's in there, you got some settings here that you need to run through. The thickness that you're working on, the type of timber that you're working on, or roughly. Birchwood's about as close as I can get to what I'm using. And then I worked on the size, as well as you've got your speed. Now I do let you know that the speed will play with your curve. with the tightness of your joins. So again, test it out, because the slower you have it running, I guess the more material it'll burn off, so it'll make it looser. So the quicker it runs, the tighter the fit it's going to be. So it's all just practice. So just practice as you can. So once you've got all your settings right, and you're happy with it all, you've got what's called a constant burn and a dynamic. Your constant burn is basically for cutting it out, and your dynamic is pretty much all if you want to actually just do a burn. So once you're happy with all that, this is what it looks like for the laser. Ready for the laser cutter to cut it out. You do have to make sure that you've got it center. So the yellow lines there, they're actually where it's going to cut out on your material. Now I have a 400 by 400 square that I cut out, which is slightly thicker than the yellow line here. So I'm able to center the project, which it does have a lot of features down below there. Once it's connected, I do use a USB cord, so that way I can talk directly to the laser cutter. So once I've lined it up and used all the bottom symbols down there, sort of helps me out. And when I'm ready for it, I just hit go, and away we go to cutting. This is me cutting it. So what I'm doing now is I'm squaring it up to make sure it's all center. This will show me, it'll have a laser down there that it won't cut, but it just shows me the outline of where it's going to cut. As long as I make sure that it's that's inside the timber, I just hit play and away we go. Now this does create a bit of smoke, so either have good ventilation or keep it outside, so that way you don't stink yourself out. But I don't know what it is, especially around my house. The moment I start this laser cutter and creates a bit of smoke, sort of attracts a bit of the flies, as you can see. So I have sped this one up because it does take a little while to cut it out. This is just a one sort of pass through. You can do multiple cut times, but this one's only sort of, it'll cut once. So I've worked out the speed from trial and error, and away I went. So I'll leave you to it. Hopefully I'll get some good music and put it in the background there for you. And that way you can either fast forward or watch the cut. Like I said, it is sped up. It does go a lot slower than this. I think it took about an hour to cut it out, I think it was, as well as burning. So I did the cutting, and then the next step, what I'll do is, you'll see further up, is I'll burn the logo on as well. So I'll leave you to it, and I'll be back when it's all cut. Alright, so we've finished laser cutting. This is our product here, all in the bits. Next step is not the fun step, but it's something that needs to be done, and that's sanding. Because I'm going to sand off all the black bits on here, because you can, I think there's things out there you can use vinegar or something to wipe it down, but I'm going to give it a light sand, not a heavy one. So I'm going to use, I am going to use a 180, but just a soft, like a 180 grit, and just a soft. That way I'm not taking any of the timber off, because I look at it and go, you'll get that. So from just rubbing across there, I get that. And I don't know about you, but having that sit on my tablecloth or my gaming cloth, the neoprene mat, I don't want that on it, let alone the board game. So I'm going to sand it off, and I'm going to wear a glove. This stuff gets everywhere when you're sanding. So last thing I want to do is just want to make my job a little bit easier. I am outside, so you probably want to try to wear a mask or something just to help out. I'm just giving it just a light sand. So just getting the sand. I don't know if that's showing up pretty well. That's a side that I haven't. So yeah, so I'm just going to give that. So I'm not applying that much pressure on it. I am outside, so you might hear some cars driving past. I don't have a big enough shed for it, let alone a committed space to do a lot of my hobbies. I do it out of the garage, so a lot of the neighbours can see me in that. So that's essentially, yeah, that's all I'm doing. That is all I am doing. Just taking a little bit off. That way you don't get, oh, you still you still get it. Well, you still get it, but once I put a stain in that, and I can varnish and then clear cut over that, I should be fine. But I'm just taking a little bit off, and then the stain will create a colour in there anyway. And I sort of give that just a brush off. And because I'm wearing gloves, I'm not getting my fingerprints all over there, so I still have to sand that, but it's going to make my job or my life that little bit easier. And I've got this here. I got it online. I can't remember where I got it. I've had it for a while. You can replace your sandpaper in there, and this gets into the little grooves. I'm just going to give this, again, just a light sand. I don't know if, that way the glue's going to get a bit more of a bond in there and be able to hold it. So I'm not going super heavy with it, because I don't want it to change the size of it, because I really want this to have a firm fit. I'm just giving it a light sand. I do it to all the sides. And that's essentially it. I've just taken just the loose stuff off. That's all I'm doing, is taking the loose stuff off, so the glue's got something to bond on. And then that is it when I'm done. That is all I'm looking for. Doesn't have to be fancy, it's just, that is it. That is all I'm doing. If you want to leave the burnt bit on there to add that bit of extra feature, then by all means do it. We'll have to put a varnish, which will be the next step, which is what I'm going to do anyway. But you can varnish over it, and it does keep it on there. But just give it a wipe off first, just to get all that loose stuff off. Once you get all that loose stuff off, then you'll be right, and then just varnish over it, and you'll keep the black. So I'm going to do that to all my parts, and then once I'm done, I'm going to get a fresh bit of sandpaper and I'm going to go over there as well. And then that's me. So I'll move the camera over and I'll see how I go. I'll show you some of the sanding bits there. I'm not going to show it all because, let's face it, the sanding part is the most boringest part of. It's the bit I'm not a fan of, but it needs to happen. It's just a boring and messy part of the job, of the hobby. So I'll do that. You don't have to do that. Well, probably not even watch me do that, but I'll do that and I'll see you in a little bit. There's another bit. There's a bit that I'm gonna, there your little ramps so the dice roll down. And that's it, that's all I'm doing. That's all I am looking for. I don't know if the vinegar solution works or the other liquid solution works. I haven't tried it because I don't find this like a hard process. Because I figured if I'm gonna use a vinegar process, I'm still gonna have to get in there and wipe. So like, I'll just sand it. So essentially, this is a lifesaver. This was, I love this tool. I design a lot of my work around this as well, so that it can really get into the gaps there. Oh. See, I dropped that. I may as well show you. That's all it is. Like, it's just a bit of sandpaper in there, and you got the clamp on it. You push it into the little gaps there. That's nice and tight. And then you push it in, and it locks it all in place. And that is it. And then when that wears off, I can change it. That's the bit I like. I like the reusability of it. I had some stuff out there you can get. It's got the sand a bit on there already, but once it wears off, you can't put any more on it. You've got to go out and buy another one. At least the reusability on that's quite great. You know, looking after the environment as well. The only thing I haven't got, that's able to get into those little gaps there. I haven't got anything that can go into there, but the glue works really well. So I'll keep going with that, and I'll get to the next step. So, managed to get the charcoal bit off, the burnt bit off. It's looking better. There's nothing on my finger there. So much better. Taking the gloves off. So this part it's not going to get black. So I'm not going to get sort of smudge marks, fingerprints all over this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand this down to prepare it to stain. This is where you don't want to apply too much pressure to it. It's being plywood. There is like a thin layer of timber on there with the grain, so if you sand it down too hard, too much, you will take that grain off and you'll get like a white bit on there, so you'll lose the timber look. So you do have to be mindful on your pressure that you apply on here. All I'm doing is I'm just cleaning it up so it looks nice, and get it ready so I can stain it up. This, I will be using a mask because I will be creating a bit of dust that I don't want to get, because I'm going to be down in sort of low into it. So I will be wearing this on a hot day. It's going to be friggin' awesome. So I'll start this. I will sand. So now that the sanding's done, I do use a 180 grit for my sanding to prepare for staining. I've just started staining. Silly me, just started going to, didn't hit record on there. So I have one glove on my staining hand. So I'm preparing to stain. What I use is the Feast Watson stain. This is a spirit base stain. Goes on really well. Takes about 30 minutes before you can do a recoat if you wanted to. What I'm using is Brown Japan. It's a real dark brown. It goes on pretty dark, but I'm going to give it a light sand afterwards to give it like a blotchy look. Looks nice. So I'm going to use this. What I do is give it a stir up, sort of, you know, poke it in the side, stir it up, tickle it, give it a stir. Stir it up. I use a little stick, give it a little stir. I get that going, and I pour it into my little container here that I can put a lid on. I write a name on it. I use a rag which I store in there. Just watch it in there, and away you go. So I've got that's ready. So all I'm doing, I'll just do the edges. You will get, just be mindful because you will get a bit of over bleeding on the edges there. So pick the side that's going to be on the inside where you're not going to see it, and make sure that's on the bottom. So it doesn't really matter too much if that's going to bleed through. And then I just paint it on. Well, not paint it on, but rub it on. And that is it. That is it. So I'll get the rest going. And so I'll adjust the camera to show you what I'm doing, how I'm setting up, and I'll get going to it. Alright, so now that the staining's done, I'll let that sit and dry for 30 minutes and then I'll flip it over and I'll do the other side. I only put one coat on this. It is a dark brown. I'll show you what it looks like for one coat. If you put another coat on it, it does go darker. So it's up to you on how dark you want your stain to go. So I'll do one coat, see how it looks. Do another coat on a offcut as well. So then that way you can do a second coat on that and you can see what color that comes up with as well to decide if you want to do the rest of your work. You'd rather do it on a offcut than on your actual work, because once you've done a second coat on your work and you don't like it, you're pretty much all buggered. It's there. You can sand back, but being ply, you're going to sand the actual top layer of the timber off before you get the stain off. So test it on an offcut for your double coat, but it does go darker. This one I'm only going to do the first coat. Come 30 minutes, I'm going to flip it over and do the other side, and then I'll have it all ready for the clear coat. So I'll do that and I'll see you during the clear coat. So now that I've got the stain done on both sides, what I'm going to do now is just got to sand it back a little bit. It's a little bit sort of furry on there. The grains of the timber are standing up. So got myself some 220 grit. Not applying a lot of pressure to it because I'm only just trying to make it smooth. So I'm just sanding on it, and I want to go with the grain on this one if I can. So not applying a lot of pressure to it, just a little pressure, just so it's like a smooth. Let's see if we can get that. I don't know if you can see that. The sun's getting in the way, but it's got a smooth feel to it. So I've got a lot of the other parts to do. I'll finish those ones off. But if you're not happy with the color on here, you can go a bit lower grit and just give it a run once over, and you'll lighten the color on it. I don't want to lighten the color on it. I just want to get it ready for my next step, which my next step's going to be putting a varnish over it. So that one's all ready. I'm going to put a varnish over this side here on the inside, because once I glue it, I'm not going to be able to get to it. So if I do it now, then I can glue it all together and it's done. But before I do the varnish, I'm going to have to tape up the edges where I'm going to glue, because I don't want varnish on that, because I want the timber glue to actually bond together when I put it in. And also, before I tape it up, I'm going to put just one coat of varnish around the outside, so that way if there's any glue that oozes out of once I join it together, it makes it a lot easier to clean up, and I won't be taking any of my my stain off. So first step, I've got to sand them all, and then the next step, I'm going to varnish the good side, I guess you can say, the external side, the side that you're going to be touching, or anyone's going to be touching it. And then I'm going to tape it up and varnish the inside, put 2 coats on the inside. So let's get sanding. So I've picked my good sides of my dice trays, the sides that I'm going to varnish first. So I've got my varnish. I'm going to make them a high gloss. This one's Feast & Watson. It's a clear varnish. It's a an oil base, polyurethane varnish. I used to use a lot of water-based products, and honestly I wasn't having much luck with them. So I've gone to oil base, and the stain that I use is alcohol base. It's an alcohol base, or I forget what it's called, but yeah, it's like an alcohol base. And it works really well. So these work well. So this is a gloss. I like the matte varnish they have, and the gloss. They do have a satin as well. So you do have the whole three out of this set. What I'm using, you can roll them on. Sometimes I do use a roller, or I'll use a air gun. I'm not very good with painting the varnish on with a brush. I just leave brush strokes. So I either roll it or spray it on. But these ones here, this one's a bit funny to connect it to board games. I'm into sort of board games as well, if you're sort of watching this as a DIY. And this is the way I sort of connected it to the board games, is I've got a little airbrush that I use. That way I'm still spraying it on. You can hear the little compressor down there. This one's, I got it from Aldi's. I don't know what the equivalence is if you're overseas. I have tried the Izito one, which is in Australia, you get it at Bunnings, and it's terrible. Don't use that. Oh, I'm not a fan of it. I really am not. The gun that comes with it was painful. But this one's from Aldi's. I haven't had any issues with it. It works really well. You know, you can get your groceries and come out with some tools from that place. So yeah, so I use an airbrush. I do a mix. They say, I think it's about 10% thinners, so I use a thinner. Pretty sure it's 10%. Let's have a look. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Occasion with Yep. Spray, if spraying, clear varnish can be thinned, yep, using 10% of turpentine. So that's what I've got here. I've got some terps here to clean my products with. I reuse it, it's already dirty. This is my clean one that I'm gonna add to it. Got my little brush to mix it all in. So I'll just give it a little mix. Make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area, or else you're gonna stink yourself out. So I just give it a mix. I don't shake this. You don't want to create bubbles, or we'll try not to create bubbles with it. So I'm just giving it a little mix. I do apologise if it's echoey. Kind of building a shed, and I'm inside the shed just testing it out, see how it's going. It's not quite finished yet, but you know, it's coming along. So that's enough. So I've got my little jar that I'm filling up, and I'm just filling it in. Use whatever you can to get it in there. I find spraying it with this small lot is the varnish goes further. So you're using less varnish. Yes, you've got to probably put more coats on, but you are using less varnish than rolling it on. I don't mind the rolling, like if I roll it on, the roll finish comes up really nice. But yeah, the spray, you can make your varnish go a little bit further. Again, if the mic's picking it up, I do apologise. That's the compressor. It's only a small compressor. You hear sort of charging itself every now and then. I don't know what 10% is on here. I usually just go to roughly near this rim here, and then I will sort of fill it up with the rest. Use a glove if you want to use a glove. And then I just sort of pour that in. I used to have a little dropper. Is it a dropper? I forget what you call it. That kind of seized up. That broke. So it broke when I just tried to pull it out just then. So it didn't quite work. So I'm just back to pouring it. I'm just giving it a stir. I don't know if it helps or if it doesn't help. just one that is, this is just basically what I do when I spray paint. I sort of do a bit of painting of little miniatures, which are your little figurines for your board games. I do a bit of that, and so I just do it the same. So, done that. Put that on. And that is that. That's ready to go. I'll leave that there. Now, I also got these little tripod things for standing my little parts on, because I used to do it by glove. I had to wear a glove, hold it by hands. I said to my partner, I said, oh, there's got to be something out there that I can use that I can rest my parts on, some sort of A-frame or something. She got me these. She tracked these down for me. They're little beauty, just for putting canvases on and painting. I just sit it in there, my little makeshift spray booth, and that, I'll just grab that. That just rests on there and and fall over. And so that'll just rest on there. I don't need to touch it. I can spray away, and it'll be done. So I'll get this camera, move it to a different spot. I've got my little gas mask, not gas mask, but little mask here. It's got a little filter in there because it will create a bit of dust, a bit of spray. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to put my glasses away, put on some safety goggles because these are a bit more dear than those things. And I'll move the camera around and I'll start spraying. Alright, so now that I've put the varnish, first coat of varnish on my good side, I've allowed it to dry. This stuff here is about 8 hours to fully dry, so it's probably the longest part of the process. So I've taped it up. So I'm doing the inside, and I've taped this up because I don't want to get any varnish on that, because I want to be able to get a strong glue bond. So when I glue it, it's going to really bond strongly. So being on the inside, I'm going to do 2 coats of varnish. So this is going to probably take a couple of days to do, unless you know, you start in the morning, then you can get your 2 coats. But I haven't started in the morning. Had a lot of stuff on, doing other projects. So I'm going to put a coat on this. I'm going to do the same process as what I did for the good side. I've also given this a light sand so that it's ready for, once I put it all together, I'm going to give it a couple more coats so it's ready to go. So it has had a light sand using 220 grit. For those that don't know, the lower the number, the rougher the sandpaper is. So the more material you'll take off, the higher the number, the finer it is, so you'll get a smoother surface. So that's only for the people that don't know. So I generally use about 180 to 220. I very rarely go up higher, but you can if you want to. But I've used a 220 on this, just lightly gave it a light sand. So that's all ready to go. I've taped them all up, even my little ones there, I've taped them all up. I'm also going to put a clear varnish on the edges of the projects, so that way it protects the edges as well as your table or tablecloth or board game, because the last thing you want to do is stick one of these things down, or especially the dice towers, because they come separate and it leaves a mark on where it's got to go. So I'm sealing the edges so that never happens, as well as there's no moisture is going to seep down into there and probably wreck it. I don't think it will, but let's eliminate that option. So I'm gonna got my spray mask over there. I've got my glasses, safety glasses somewhere. Oh, they're over there. Put them on because I'll take these off. The last thing I want is to get varnish all over my glasses. These things are friggin' dear. So I'm going to do that. You're not going to see that process. I've already showed you. It's the exact same process. So I'm going to mix up my spray, my airbrush, and I'm going to spray through it and do it all on and do a couple of coats. I find that process for me is actually working really well for my little projects. Plus I paint little board game miniatures as well, so I'm all used to doing that as well. So I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to do the hard work here while you guys will get to the next stage. So I'll see you in a couple of days, because this will take a couple of days. It's more so the drying time. 8 hours drying, 6 hours touch dry, and 8 hours finish for recoat. If I want to recoat, it's 8 hours. So that's going to take me a couple of days, but it's what it is. It's the reality of some of these stuff when you're building out of timber. So that way, if you do go along, you see those DIY guys that are out there building stuff themselves, you'll get to know that there is a time on it, that it does take time to do a lot of these stuff. If I wanted to leave it raw, then by all means it will be done raw, off it goes. But I don't like to leave things raw. I like to dress them up a bit. That's just who I am. So I'm going to do all this, leave you to it, and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so I've put the clear coat on it. I've got the gloss on it. This side here's got 3 coats. The side that I'm going to glue the material onto, that has only got 1 coat of gloss on it. So if you have a look, it's not shiny, but it still keeps it protected. Where, have a look on that, you can see the shine on it. So that side there, you're going to see underneath the dice tower. So if you're looking underneath, you're going to see it. Do you need a coat on there? Do you even need the stain on there? Probably not. You probably don't. But it's just the process how I go to it, sort of gluing the material on. I'm not going to show you what I do with this, sort of spraying it on. I've got a couple of videos already up there on how to do it. Essentially it's the same process. I'm just going to spray over this, spray on the timber, spray on the material, give it about 5 minutes, and then slap it together. And that's essentially it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat this. I'm going to coat the sides here. So just on the sides, because I want the material to wrap round and then stick on that. I'm going to coat that. This one here's the bottom of the dice tray. So that's got 1 coat of gloss on it. Underneath's got 1 coat as well, but that's only so to protect it a bit from the sticky tape. And the when I put it together, it just makes it easier for the glue to come off, for the excess glue that's gonna may pop out. So I will glue this and give it 5 minutes, and I will get back to it and show you. Well, I don't know if I actually need to show you to put it on. So like I said, I do have a couple of videos, but I'll see how I go. It's either going to be in there or not. But I'll glue it and then put it together. I'll either show you how I put it together. I might show what I do with these just on the edges. So I'll see how I go on that. So do it in a well ventilated area because it does stink. You can wear a mask as well. But yeah, give it a spray, shake it up, spray it, and away you go. So I'll do that and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. It's generally about 5 to 10 minutes. So it's been 5 minutes. I use this to roll it on. I do have a video there where I used a plastic scraper to do it as well. Whatever works for you, use it. This one doesn't seem to fluff it up as much as what the plastic spatula did, but all I do is I'm just laying them down. Just going to lay it there, and then I'm going to fold it on that edge and fold it on that edge. And that is essentially all I am doing. And then I'll let that dry and get back to it. You don't have to have it over fold on the edge if you don't want to. I do it because it finishes it off. Just be mindful of where it's spraying. You can get a bit of overlap there. It's not a drama. I can clean that up. But just be mindful on it so you don't have to clean it up. It's always better if you don't have to do something, don't do it. I'll flip it over here so it doesn't get it. And find a workplace, like a workspace that is quite clean as well, or else you'll end up with gluing stuff on top and wrecking your work. Now what I'm using here is I think it's velour. It's thick. It's a type of furniture material, so you can put it on your furniture, on your couches and that. Yeah, but it's a bit thick. I found don't mind felt. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind felt. But this is actually really nice, and I got a video up there where I glued some felt on and put like an underlay underneath the felt just to try and make it spongy. It kind of made it a bit too spongy, and the dice are bouncing out every now and then. They'll just bounce out of it. This creates a bit of sponginess to the dice towers without having the dice really sort of bounce out of it. So that's why I went to these, and it looks nicer. It does look nicer than felt. You can do this like this, what I'm doing here, and flatten it down. It is essential that you do press it down onto the surfaces the two surfaces, so that way it makes a good connection, good bondage, and then it won't come off. Now that the glue has dried and the material's permanently stuck on there, the next step is what I do is I trim it all up. That way I don't have the overhang sitting there, so I neaten it up. Now this is the stage where I've got to be careful. I do apologise if the noise is a bit echoey. I'm inside a shed at the moment. It's pretty hot outside, so I've moved myself into the shed with the cooler on. Get a bit comfortable while I do this. But yeah, the next bit, so I've got to be careful, very careful on what I'm doing right now. I've got to make sure that, especially with this flat piece here, I've got to make sure that I can cut this out neatly and sort of straight, so that when I connect it all together, I'm not going to have big gaps in between the side of the dice tray. See that this is the dice tray. So I've got to be very mindful. I do have a ruler here which will help trim it up. So that one I do have to be very careful with cutting. This one here, not so much. The only thing I've got to be mindful of when trimming this one off is when I'm cutting down here, down in this part here. I've got to be mindful that I don't cut into that. These things are pretty sharp. Cutting down there, they will take little nicks out of the timber. So yeah, so I've got to be very mindful of when I do that. I do use, this is my box cutter that I use. It allows me to cut off, I can just break away the tips, so that way I've always got a sharp tip. And doing this, you do need a sharp tip. So all I do is also get something to cut on, so you're not cutting your table. Because even though this one here is a portable table, I still don't want to cut through it. I sort of still use it. So like I said, I just got to be mindful when I'm cutting this. So I'm gonna cut through this way. I'll cut down there. I'll cut that. So if you can cut your material to, probably should have cut my material a little bit smaller, so I didn't have quite a lot overhanging there, but that's on me. I'll just sew with it. Come on, off you pop. Where are you? There we are. I find having the blade stretched out a little bit longer actually helps me. So I'm not gonna cut the timber, and I'm just applying just a little bit of pressure onto it as I go down. So I'm not trying to cut through this, I just want to cut through that. Done that. So then this is the bit where I've got to be very, very mindful. So I'm not going to apply too much pressure on this. So I'm going to go nice and slow. Cutting through it. done. Essentially, that is what I'm looking for. So it's nice and flush on the edge. I didn't cut the timber. I will trim this up a little bit more. We'll use a bit of scissors just to trim it up. But that is essentially what I am after. So that is it. It's all cut out. I've got my little finger joints there, little tabs there. They're not glazed, so I'm able to put a bit of glue down there, a bit of glue in there when I glue it together. But, these little bits here, I will trim them up with some scissors. You can go through your hobby knife, but you just got to be mindful not to cut the glaze. So scissors are a bit better. I will use scissors. So that's that one. I'll set that over there. Now how I do this one, move them over there, is I open them up. I need to find out where the tape begins and where I want the material to end. So that's why I'm opening this up, if it will allow me. I normally use a better tape than this. This is all the only tape I had left. Instead of going down the street getting some more tape, I'll just use this. I usually use like a blue or a green paint tape. It's a proper paint tape. It doesn't stick as much. It's designed to. This one's not, but the proper paint. You get the proper paint ones. It's designed to last, not be super sticky for a certain period. But this one here, this one's not too bad, but it does get a bit sticky. So what I'm doing is I need to find out where the edges are. So cutting around here. Again, I just got to be mindful that I'm not cutting into the wood. I don't want to do all this hard work and then nick it through the on the wood, and that way, you know, it looks horrible. Look, it's not the end of the world, but I do sell these at the markets, and I don't want to, you know, have cuts everywhere through it. I'm trying to sell them. So I try to take care in what I do. Alright, so basically that, I've cut out that, which has given me where the edge of the timber is, so where I'm going to join it. So all I've got to do now is I'm just going to cut in here, and this will let me know where the start of the joins are. Like, I could just go on there and guess it, but I don't want to guess it. So basically what I've done is I've cut out where the finger joins. So there's the join there. So I know that's timber, and timber starts there and then it starts back up again. That's pretty much what I do. Then I can just use my ruler and line it up. I'm not applying too hard on this because I don't want to cut through the wood. But I do want to get through that material. Yeah. Essentially it should just come up because hopefully I'm cutting across where the tape is, and it should come up with the tape. There we are. Alright, so that's it. Basically I've cut right up to the join, so when I put the other the sides on, this material is going to be right up against the edges of the timber, so it's going to look nice and flush. That's what I mean. I've just got to be mindful of that, so that way it just finishes it off nicely. Just these little extra bits here, just by doing these, slowing down a little bit and doing these little bits does help. Just finishes it off. Oh, the tape's folded under. It's folded under there. Bloody tape. Come on, love you, Bob. There we are. That one. So all I'm doing here is I'm just feeling where the edge of the timber is to where the ruler is. Yeah. So that is it. That is essentially it. That's as you can see there, there's nothing coming through there. You can't see the wood there, which is good. So this is going to fit nice and snug when I put the edges together. It's going to fit nice and snug in there. And it's not going to be any exposed on that. So I'll continue with these and I'll see you in the next bit, which will be assembling. So I'll finish this off and I'll see you in the next bit. So now the material's dry and I've cut it up to size, so they're all nice and neat on there. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to put this all together and glue it. So I'm using Sally's. This one's quick set. Now the reason, normally I use the Gorilla Glue, but this one's got a quick set on it, which helped beforehand. I didn't make the tongues were too loose. So what do they call that? That's the, I can't think what it was called now. But anyway, it was a bit loose, so I used the quick set glue, so that way I can put it all together, use clamps, and it bonded quick. And then I was able to take the clamps off within about 30 minutes or so, and I can keep going and move that way. But this one, I still got it. I'm just going to use it up. I do prefer the Gorilla Glue, but Sally's, this one's actually not too bad. I quite enjoy this one. So yeah, so I've got my dice tray and I've got my dice tower. They're all set up. internals parts all glazed, so when they're hidden away, they're all glazed, as you can see there. So being inside, they've got, this one's got 3 coats on it, because you're going to really see it, but the rest only have 2 coats. So they're going in, and then I'm just going to glue the finger joints. I've got my paintbrush, little thing to put the glue on. So I'm just going to paint on the finger joints there and then glue it and then press it all in. I have made them, they're a little bit tight, a bit tighter, so I've gone one extreme to another, not too bad. I've got my persuasion stick here to persuade them together, but I don't need to hit them too much. So I'll readjust the camera, that way you can see a downward view of what I'm doing. It's not going to be any sound going there, because you're going to hear me whacking. You don't want that on the on your TV or phone or anywhere. Makes a loud noise. So hopefully there'll be some music going in the background there for you, and I'll speed up the process as I go. So I'll change the camera and I'm preparing to glue. So this is the finished product. It is all done. I kind of made a bit more than 2, as you can see. So this is it. It's got 3 coats of, I actually put 3 coats of glaze on that. It's 2 coats on the inside and I put 3 on the outside. You can see the shine on it. If you don't like the shine, use a matte. But this one here is going out to a mate of mine. So I'm going to send it up there. Hopefully brings him good rolls. As you can see, pre-tested it out for you. Seems to work. So this is pretty much all the final product. So once it's all done, you lift it up there, you can store it down and sort of pack it away. Packs away nice and neat. These things here, this is what I made out of, remember I did up there learning the kerf? I turned those cubes into a dice. So while I was trying to make a nice snug fit there, all those other ones I just glued them together and burnt some numbers on there and sort of turned them into a dice. I don't know if you can see the numbers there. Is that showing the numbers? Let's see, a bit closer. There we are. It's got the numbers on it. Too big to throw down there. But it's one of those things that, so you can turn your waste into something as well, so you don't have to throw everything out. But that is it. Hope you enjoyed watching it. Hopefully it's inspired you to get out there and make some stuff. But, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Happy gaming.